So once you've removed the excess foam from the core, you get this. You can sand that edge down, or have the foresight to cut both edges at like a 45-degree angle or 90-degree angle, 90, right? Whatever the fuck, so that it sits flushly together. I don't usually bother messing with this edge because it's nice and soft and it's not really going to mess anything up. But sanding it down does give it a more professional appearance. Not that anyone will ever see it. After you do that, you're going to take your camp pad or blue foam. You can pick it up at Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods, anywhere like that. It's about $7 a roll. This is what the packaging looks like. This is going to be the striking surface padding, all of that. It's a really light foam, has quite a bit of compression to it. It gives and springs back into shape immediately. It's pretty good for this. There are other foams, better foams, people would say stronger at least. Camp pads more durable than Fun Noodle, but not as durable as like a Y20 or the 2-pound foam that most people use in heavier contact games like DAC or Bell or I don't know, I don't play those. But what you're going to do is measure out 1, 2, 3 sheets of foam. Here I've got them at 1 3/4 inches because after I set my core into one of these and sandwich the other two to either side, I'm going to take a strip and run it along the edge, which will make it 2.5 inches. You can forego the strip and just make these panels 2.5 inches wide, but it will be a less durable sword. If you're looking to make something quick and easy, just make these 3 panels 2.5 inches wide, cut them out, put a slot in this for your core, and then you're done. So I'm making a fancy one. So you take your 28-cent snappable razor knife, and you just cut along the lines that you've measured. If you don't know how to measure things and draw a line, you take your ruler, you set it up there, you make a mark on one side, and then you make a mark on the other side. Then you take your ruler, you lay it across the two, and then you draw a line. It's that easy. I would recommend pressing hard enough with the pen to actually cut into the surface of the foam, because that will help guide your knife. And again, when you're cutting things, you want to make a light score first, and then cut deeper, and then cut deeper. You don't want to cut through in one slice, because your hand could shake, you could go off the line, you could be cutting at a strange angle that you're not aware of, and then when you put the pieces together, nothing lines up. Light scores all the way through, just like you were cutting leather or any material like that. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, scoring the foam several times to make your cuts. This is what it is. This is what it should look like. That one's a little bit deeper than it should be. Your first cut shouldn't go all the way through. They should breach the surface and create a groove to guide your knife on the cuts that do go all the way through. Like you'll see the end of one of these cuts here. Now, like here on well, fuck it. I thought I had a cut where I was in an awful angle, and had I cut all the way through, that would have created a piece that wouldn't seat evenly with the other pieces of foam. But I guess I did okay. So once you score it the first time, then you can cut through the rest of it. Do as many light strokes as you think necessary to get a straight edge. Typically I just score it once and then do another cut to go all the way through. once you've got your pieces cut out, like so, preferably nice and straight. Got like a little bit of a cattywampus angle going on there, but you know, straight as you can get it. You start adhering it to the core. Why do you have more pieces of foam than me, Spritely? You might be wondering. That's because my pieces are too short. Because I'm working with camp pad remnants here. So I have as many pieces as I need. You should have fewer pieces than this, if you cut them at the appropriate length. In order for a short sword to be legal, or a conventional short sword that doesn't use heavy padding to be legal, it needs to be strike legal on 1/3 of its total length. These aren't quite 1/3, so I had to cut extra pieces to glue on and compensate. So one of these slots, or one of these panels, the 1 3/4, or if you're being lazy, 2.5 inch panels, you should have cut a slot into. This is that piece from you. You can leave the end connected. That'll make it easier to put onto the core and make sure that it's all straight. But I like to take mine off so that I can put a cross-grain piece of foam along the top, because it creates a stronger structure at the tip. The way that you'll be adhering this to the core is with strips of tape, lots of little strips of tape. I would personally recommend fiberglass strapping tape. Some people have success with Scotch tape, of all things, but what I have is duct tape. And I don't recommend using duct tape anywhere on any part of a sword ever for any reason, because there's almost always a more appropriate material, but that's what I got. If you're going to use duct tape, use duct tape, not duct tape. Duct tape is much lighter. It won't be as much of a clusterfuck in your sword as duct tape. Like, just get the cheap, flimsy shit. That's all you need. So, if your tape's too big, you tear it into little strips. If you're using fiberglass strapping tape, it should come in a width that is acceptable. So you take your foam, and you apply your tape. I don't need to see that. I might have to finish this up tomorrow. You apply your tape around your core, like so, and you use it to stick to the foam. If I had more hands, it would be easier to show you, but I don't. So just like that, you wrap around the edge of the core there, or the side of the core, and then stick it to your foam. And then you repeat on the other side. Like so. And you do that all the way down for all of your blade. Just repeat alternating strips of tape. I guess I'll have to record the rest in the morning, show you how to finish up, since it's getting dark, but yep. Okay. Here's the thing I was trying to show last night with the alternating strips of tape. Again, the preferred tape here is fiberglass strapping tape, but It's becoming harder to find these days, so I just went ahead and used the duct tape that I had on hand. And you'll notice that on the end here, I wrapped all the way around after putting the initial like strip binding it to the core. This just helps it adhere on the other side where you don't have that strip. It's not really necessary. I do it because it makes me feel safer, but this is an ultralight, so the more tape you use, the more glue you use, the more material of any kind you use, especially tape and glue, the heavier it's going to be. So you really want to minimize the amount of adhesive that you're using, like to the bare minimum. So that strip is okay. I would not recommend putting much more on. It can be really tempting to put a vertical strip all the way down your core on top of these straps. Do not do that. As you strike, your core is going to flex on every hit, and that flex is eventually going to rip up that vertical piece of tape, and it's going to pull all of these straps with it. The straps are much, much, much more durable without a piece of tape on top of them. Don't do that. When you're putting the strips on, try to keep your center panel here as straight as possible. You'll notice mine is kind of wavy. It's not that bad, so I'm not gonna bother redoing it. But if it's super crooked, it's really gonna show in your final product, and you know, obviously you don't want that. A crooked blade will provide additional air resistance. It'll make your shots less accurate. You just want it as straight as possible. After you have put these strips of tape on, you want to take your other 1 3/4, or again 2.5 if you're lazy, panels, and glue them to either side of this. Have 2 of these here. Yep. So you just place them on either side, like so. After you cover everything with glue, and you press it down and you'll let it set. Because of the way that I make my swords in particular, I cut off the end of the box there. If the end of your core isn't perfectly smooth, you'll want to probably cover that in some sort of tape or microcell foam or something, just to make like a condom on it so it doesn't chew through your wimpy camp pad here. But I think mine's gonna be just fine. What I do, because of the way that I make my swords, is I measure out a 3/8 inch strip. 3/8 inches is, again, the, what do you call that? The package say? The depth. That is the depth of camp pad. Package advertises 1/2 inch, it's actually 3/8. So you cut out a 3/8 inch strip, and you just glue it on top here. And then that cross grain effect should create a stronger structure. If you had just used your original panels, it would bend this way and that way really easily. Instead, it's gonna more bend that way and that way on the top, which doesn't matter so much. On a stab, it bends to the left or the right. You could just fucking rip the end of your sword off one day on a stab and give somebody a nasty bruise. So, cross grain.